G'day and welcome to the video. If your marriage is on the edge of divorce, this is your wake-up call, okay? Here's how to shift it fast. Now, what is your desired outcome? If you're watching this video, you're obviously looking for a certain outcome, and that would probably include saving your marriage, preventing divorce, keeping your family together, and having a happy, strong, loving, and fulfilling marriage, okay? So that's why you're watching this video, to get that outcome. Now, who is this video not for? It's not for men looking for a quick fix, okay? Saving your marriage is not a quick fix. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes investment, it takes a lot of energy, okay? And I don't want to work with guys who are not willing to do the work, okay? Men who are not ready to make real change. Men unwilling to invest in themselves financially, invest in themselves with their energy, with their time, with their effort, okay? And men who are unwilling to follow the proven method in my program. Now, who is this video for? It's for hardworking married men on the brink of divorce, okay? Men ready to take action. Men willing to invest in themselves to achieve the outcome, which is preventing divorce, keeping your family together, and deriving happiness from the marriage, okay? That's who I want to work with. Now, who am I, okay? Who am I to be talking about helping you save your marriage? Well, my name is Reed Sassenberg. I've been married for a decade. I'm a father of 4. Now, my company, Married Ambition, was created out of my own personal marriage struggle. 5 years ago, I was on the brink of divorce. My marriage was in absolute shambles. And I did the work and I turned things around. Out of that process, I learned a lot of things, and I've now applied all the things I've learned into the Married Ambition program. So that's what I do. I help guys like yourself take you from the brink of divorce, and I help you prevent divorce, okay? Save your marriage, keep your family together. And I've done that countless times around Australia with a number of different guys, okay? So I've helped countless men around Australia achieve that outcome. Now, that's what I do. So my marriage story, okay? I was married in 2015, had a beautiful honeymoon in Hawaii with my beautiful wife, Sandy. Amazing time, one of the greatest times of my life, to be honest. Now, life was amazing, okay? I had a great job, beautiful wife, and everything was really good. I had my first son in 2016, Ezekiel, and my wife, a couple of years prior to that, started her business with makeup, and I was really unsupportive of that. I was really focused on being the provider, and I didn't want her sort of having to worry about anything like that, and I wanted to just be the provider. Okay, that's where I think a lot of my issues stem from when I look back. Now, I was very unsupportive of her business ventures. Okay, so first son born 2016, moved into a new house, bills started stacking up, and I started doubling down on the provider role. I started living at work. I was doing as much overtime as I could. Whilst that was happening, I also got into powerlifting. And, if you've ever done powerlifting and lifting heavy weights and trying to chase numbers in the powerlifting game, you're really focused on just putting on weight and trying to chase numbers, right? So my body weight went right up, and I was so tired all the time. I had low energy. My capacity was very low. Okay, I couldn't deal with any problems outside of work, anything at all. It was all too much. Okay, so my capacity was very low. My second son was born in 2018, and my wife at this time, her plate was overflowing. I was completely focused on work. I was spending so much time in the gym, and I was neglecting my role as a husband in the ways that really count. Sure, being a provider is important. It's what we have to do as men, but that's the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s husband mentality of I provide a paycheck and everything else sorts itself out. That doesn't cut the mustard these days, okay? You have to grow with the times. Modern marriage requires a different level of investment from yourself, okay? So by 2018, my wife was giving me signs, okay? And the bills stacked up. My wife was leading the household, and her resentment grew. Okay, the more time I spent at work, the more time I spent training. I was obviously spending less time at home, and this was resulting in a real disconnect with me and my wife. Frequent fighting. Wife said she couldn't keep going like this. She warned me, right? And I didn't listen to that wake up call. I completely ignored the signs. I couldn't believe that, that I was the problem. I really believed I was the victim in this scenario, and I just brushed off her complaints, right? So by 2020, right, I got a 3-year-old, 3.5-year-old, a 2-year-old. My wife, she's super busy. She's dealing with that. She's trying to run a business. I'm never home. I'm never there. I'm not supporting. I'm not emotionally connected. I'm emotionally checked out as well. And by 2020, my wife decides to check out completely. Okay, she pulls the pin, says, "I need space. I can't do this anymore." Okay, and it really shocked me to my core. It was like I got hit in the face by a ton of bricks. I couldn't believe the transition from this beautiful honeymoon we had together in 2015, this amazing woman who was just completely invested in me, and I was completely invested in her, and we had this great marriage, obviously very early on in the marriage, great relationship. And to fast forward 5 years from that to what I was experiencing at that moment was just mind-blowing to me. I couldn't understand how things got this bad, because I wasn't a gambler, I wasn't an abuser, I wasn't a womanizer, I wasn't cheating on. I was loyal, I was a hardworking man. I couldn't understand what the issue was. Okay, so I had to really give the relationship some space, and that's what I did. I moved out, and I was probably kicked out. To be honest, I didn't move out. I was kicked out, and I had to really reflect on myself. Okay, 2 kids, 2 very young kids, a beautiful wife, a wife who was wanting to be the wife that I wanted, and I was just destroying my own marriage. I couldn't understand why. Okay, and I had to do a lot of self-reflection and become aware of how this happened. And I started to reflect. Okay, and over the period of a couple of weeks, right, I started to really focus on my shortcomings. Okay, and what I come up with, I identified that I was lazy, I was entitled, I had a huge ego that was covering up a lot of inadequacies about myself, and I was focusing on the wrong things. That I was focusing on the wrong value to bring into the marriage, which was financial. Okay, now I reflected on this stuff big time. I was in a really bad space, but I knew that I had to make change. I knew that I had to do this. So I started really reading as much as I could. I started, going on the internet and learning as much as I could about marriages and what makes them work. And there was a lot of junk out there. There was a lot of garbage. There was a lot of people recommending marriage counseling and things like that. And I just never really resonated with any of that, because I wanted to make the change. I knew that change was required for myself, because I don't think my wife was the problem. Even though I played myself out as the victim, I don't think she was the problem. So I'd done a lot of work in that area, and I realized that I had a dysfunction that I now have in my program known as the old teenager. Okay, and that really destroyed the dynamic in my marriage. Okay, I was entitled, I had a huge ego, I was focusing on the wrong things, I was lazy, I was so reactive emotionally. Okay, and one of the most important things that we need to focus on if you're going to save your marriage is your emotional reactivity. You have to fix that. If you don't fix that, you cannot save your marriage. So there's a few things that we'll go through soon, but I just want to go through my story. And so I did the work. Okay, I addressed all my issues, and I slowly began to build back the safety. And I understood the changes that were required. And thankfully, my wife and I reconciled. Okay, and our marriage has never been better. I've had 2 kids, 2 children since, and life is again fantastic. We're connected. There's a lot of safety, and we're in a really harmonious marriage at the moment. It's fantastic. But I know that I have to maintain this level. Okay, I can't take my foot off the gas now. I turned my situation around. It took me time. It took me patience. It took me effort. Okay, and I really done the work here. Now, that's what you need to do. Now, there's going to be some obstacles to doing this. Okay, the first obstacle you're going to face, okay, is that your wife wants a divorce, and you're going to feel that the situation is hopeless. Okay, the situation is hopeless now, but you can change it. You can turn your situation around. Okay, That's the first obstacle. The situation feels hopeless because your wife wants a separation or divorce. Number two, the second obstacle is that your lack of knowledge, okay, on the fundamental principles of saving your marriage is not there. Okay, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to approach things. You don't know what you need to focus on. Okay, and thirdly, she wants to divorce the version you are now. Okay, this doesn't mean you have to become someone else. You need to become your best version. Okay, that person that's inside you, that is your higher self. You know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's known as self-actualization, okay, where you are your best version, okay. They're the three things you need to fix, or the obstacles that you're going to face, okay. Your wife wants a divorce or separation. The situation feels hopeless. Number two, your lack of knowledge on the fundamental principles of saving your marriage. And number three, who you are currently. She wants to divorce, okay. So she wants to divorce the current version of you. What does that mean? You have to become your best version. Okay? Now, what are the solutions to these obstacles? Like I just said, you've got to change her mind about divorce. Okay? You've got to learn and implement important principles, skills, and knowledge which help you navigate reconciliation. And lastly, core level self-development. Become your best version. These are the solutions to those obstacles. Now, if you bring in these solutions into your life and you target them with specific actions that we're going to go through, you can turn your situation around. I know your situation feels hopeless, but you need to change her mind. How do we do that? We need to learn and implement important principles, skills, and knowledge, okay? And then lastly, you need to become your best version, okay? If you do those three things, you save your marriage. Okay, so stop thinking your situation is hopeless. You can turn this around. Now, how do we achieve the solutions? Okay, number one, how do we change her mind about the divorce? Okay, we build a foundation of emotional and psychological safety. This goes back to your reactivity, your emotional reactivity. She can't talk about the problems. She can't talk about the issues because you're reactive. You withdraw. You become passive aggressive. You become passive. Okay. You need to address these issues so she's comfortable to talk about things. That's number one. You need to build an environment of safety, emotional and psychological safety. As we move through this here, you need to understand and repair what we call in the program the catch-22, which is the reason why she wants out of the marriage. There's a core problem, and usually it revolves around emotional safety and connection for the woman. So she needs to feel emotionally safe and connected with you for everything to flow from there. So that's what the catch-22 is. It's usually revolving around that, or sometimes there's multiple issues, but if you fix the catch-22, you fix your marriage, okay? So the way we do this through the program is through a conversational framework called patching, and it's about releasing the resentment around that problem that's got her into the catch-22 and replacing it with emotional and psychological safety so she can talk about the problems, and then you get a really good understanding of what the problems are and you can fix them. Okay, that's absolutely critical, that you patch and you understand the catch-22. That's how we fix the catch-22, is through patching. Now, the second part to this is understanding the paradoxes. Okay, the paradox of change. She's going to give you problems along the path of reconciliation. Okay, it's not going to be linear where things just get better and better and better until you reconcile. It doesn't work like that. Your wife needs to make sure that your changes are real. So as you go through the process of reconciliation, she's going to test those changes. You're going to also go through a period of struggle where you feel like this is not you, this is not who you are, you're pretending to be someone else. But that's also resistance. That's also the paradox of change, okay? You need to push through those things and you need to come out the other end. And on the other end of the paradox of change is reconciliation. So that's what's really important about understanding certain paradoxes that you're going to have to go through to save your marriage. Now, the last couple of things here on changing her mind that's really important is outcome independence. So you're probably thinking about the idea of divorce and you're getting a lot of anxiety, okay, which is completely normal. However, We want to take that anxiety and we want to focus it towards a process, okay? If you can do that, that's going to motivate you through the process that you need to follow, because that's what you need to do. It's pointless focusing on an outcome and not doing anything about it, okay? So let's focus on the process that gets us to that outcome, which leads us to the capo principle, which is knowledge. You have to learn, what do I need to do, Reed, to save my marriage? Okay, that's the knowledge side of things. Then you need to put that into action. No point in learning something and not putting anything into action. You need to do things. You need to implement things, implement change, okay? Then you need to be persistent with it. You need to constantly show up, keep showing up and being persistent with your change, okay? With the knowledge you've learned, and through the knowledge you put into action. We be persistent, then we get the outcome. The outcome naturally falls, okay? Which is falling outcomes, which means that, for example, if you have to get up early in the morning and you're absolutely struggling to go to sleep and you start forcing yourself to try to sleep, you start stressing about sleeping, and there's no chance you're going to sleep, right? It's not going to happen. But as soon as you set the environment conducive to sleep, a nice, cool room, dark, quiet, you're relaxed, what happens? You fall asleep. Okay, this is the same thing with your marriage when you're trying to reconcile. You need to focus on the environment, how you create safety, how you build attraction, how you manage your emotions, things like that, that create the environment conducive to reconciliation, okay? So you need to stop focusing on that outcome, because if you're outcome based, if you're focused on that outcome, what's going to happen is as soon as she pulls away, you're going to become reactive. As soon as she says, yep, we're back on, I'm back in the marriage, you're going to pull back and you're going to not do the work. Okay, so process. Let's not focus on the outcome. Let's focus on the process. All right. Now, that's the first obstacle. That's how you change it. That's how you change her mind. You consistently show up. Okay, you do the patching. You understand the catch-22. You understand the deeper issues in the marriage. Now we go to the second part, learning important principles, skills, and knowledge. Okay, we need to identify and repair your core dysfunction. Remember when I was talking about my marriage where I was the old teenager? Now there's really only two dysfunctions in marriages that cause them to break down. Number one is that you're the old teenager. You're lazy. You're incompetent. You're reactive. You're entitled. You're driven by your ego. This destroys the leadership. This destroys the marriage over time. This destroys safety big time. Okay, so that's what you need to identify first, is your core dysfunction. The second dysfunction is known as the electron, which is the nice guy, the guy who puts his wife on the pedestal and he does everything he can for her to keep her happy. So he avoids conflict, he avoids what his needs are, but he also gets passive aggressive when he doesn't get his needs met or when he doesn't get what he expects from doing certain things. These are known as covert contracts. I also used to operate through covert contracts, and they are absolutely toxic to your marriage. Okay, so understanding your core dysfunction and replacing it with polarity, which is the captain. You have to become the leader in your relationship. Okay, so how do we do that? Emotional leadership. Okay, structure, being proactive, and providing a strong base of financial support, emotional support, leadership, and structure. This is how she falls back into your frame. She falls back into the marriage because she knows that she can trust you. She can count on you. She married you for that reason, for safety, for long-term safety. Okay, so remember that. You must replace your dysfunction with becoming the captain. Okay. Second to this is mastering your communication and your frameworks. You need to learn how to be assertive. You need to learn how to set boundaries. You need to know how to emotionally connect with your woman. You need to show her how you're listening. You need to learn all the different frameworks that results in a positive outcome for yourself. Okay. Now, lastly, you have to have a deep understanding of your wife. Okay. You have to understand the subconscious mind of a woman. It sounds like it's rocket science. It's not. It's very straightforward, okay? Women do not think like men. As soon as you understand that women are not men and they don't think like us, your world will become much easier, okay? So you have to understand the 5 S's, which stand for sexual market value. You have to be your best version. You have to bring value to the relationship. Okay, not just money, not just looks. It's deeper than that. It's about your groundedness, your stability, your leadership, your ability to command respect and presence. Okay, all these things are super important with your marriage. Now, the 5 S's, sexual market value, you need to make her feel seen. You need to make her feel supported. You need to make her feel special, and you need to make her feel safe. If you can do those 4 things on top of being that man who brings a lot of value, okay, that other women also see the value in, okay, this is going to drive her to be completely devoted to you. Okay, so you need to become your best version, and then you need to learn about what she expects and what she wants from you, and you fulfill those needs for her naturally. Okay, that's the 5 S's, and you really understand what a woman wants, needs, and desires. Okay, now, lastly, self-development. So remember I was talking about sexual market value. You've got to become your best version. Okay, how do we achieve that? How do we become our best self? Well, there's really 3 main aspects. Okay, physical frame, number 1. You must become your best version physically. You need to get in the best shape of your life. You need to really focus on becoming your best version physically. Okay, why? Number 1, to build attraction. Okay, raw subconscious biological attraction, right? And number 2, capacity. You need to be operating at a high level. Your cup needs to be full. You're a busy man. You probably got kids. You got a mortgage. You got, a family to look after. You've got work to do. You're busy. You need to be in great shape health wise. Okay, your capacity, your energy levels need to be high. So you need to get yourself physically into the best shape possible, which leads into number 2, your mental frame. Okay, you need to restructure how you think and implement mental models that replace negative ways of thinking. Okay, you need to really focus on like resilience, for example. I need to be resilient in my marriage. I need to be strong. I need to be that foundation, that pillar of strength for my wife. That's a mental model I need to take on. Okay, and this is how I do this, by following X, Y, and Z. Okay, mental models are so important. Okay, your mental frame, the way you perceive things, the way you interact with the world, super important. Now, lastly, emotional frame. Okay, we need to get that to a high level where you're not being controlled by your emotions, but you're in complete control of your emotions, not the other way around. Okay, so you're in control of your emotions are not in control of you. That doesn't mean suppressing them. That doesn't mean pushing them away. That means that you can observe them and you shift towards what you need to go to, okay, regarding frameworks and how to speak and how to communicate. You can't just become passive aggressive or shut down or get aggressive. That's going to destroy the safety. So you have to master your emotional frame. Okay, we do that through paradigm shifting and learning to respond instead of reacting. Okay, that's critical. Respond instead of reacting. We do that through a process known as OPDA, which is observe, process, decide, act. We do not ever react emotionally. Okay, we always look at our emotions and we assess them, we process them, and we decide what we're going to do with them, and we act on them. Okay, we don't just become slaves to our emotions. Now, once you build the 3 levels of frame, your physicality, your mentality, your emotions, you can then start looking towards things like, what's your mission here? What's my goal in my life outside of my wife and kids, outside of my wife, outside of my family and my marriage? What am I working towards for myself? Okay, and that doesn't have to be like your job or your work. It can be simple as, I want to get my body into its best shape ever. So that's like a mission you can have. It's about finding your passion in life and moving towards it. Okay, it's about, the Japanese call it the ikigai, and it's about, you get paid for it well, you're passionate about it, you're good at it, and the world needs it. Okay, that's about you understanding what your mission is, and you can start doing it once you've built the frame up. Okay, which again is very attractive for your wife because it signals safety, it signals leadership, it signals the foundation is solid in you. on the higher needs of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, okay? So self-development is absolutely critical. It must occur. You must become your best self and your best version if you want to save your marriage, because she does not want to continue in the marriage with the old version of yourself. So this is part of the process. Now, my offer to you is, let's save your marriage, okay? If this short video has resonated with you, don't waste valuable time, okay? And do further damage. The MAP, my program, Married Ambition Program, runs for 16 weeks and guarantees to put you in the best position possible to save your marriage, okay? Guaranteed. Now, take action now. Stop procrastinating. Don't waste any more time. If this video resonates with you, book a call below, okay? Book a Save Your Marriage call below this video. You'll speak to me one-on-one, and we can go through how this could possibly work for you, okay? I don't work with everyone. It depends on, obviously, like I said, your mentality, what you're looking to do, and if you're a good fit. But book the call below, and we can discuss that on the call. I look forward to speaking to you. Save your marriage, okay? Take action. Let's do this. Let's really take action and save your marriage, prevent divorce, keep your family together. Let's get to it.